Good evening, welcome back to Gooner Fanzine TV in the shadows of the Emirates after Arsenal's disappointing 3-0 loss to Pep Guardiola's Man City. We've got a bit of fan reaction for you tonight. We've got Dan the Man, we've got Serge, we've got Phil, we've got Fred as well. So we're just going to have a little chat about Arsenal and take it from there really, because it was a really disappointing display. What was your take, Dan, to start with?
It's just shambolic, wasn't it? I mean, the inability to defend. I've watched non-league clubs this season, plenty of them, defend way better than that. There's just no one takes responsibility, and there's no leader, there's no organisation. It's just not good enough, plain and simple. And if Arsenal keep going like that, there's no hope of getting in the top four. Yeah,
it was a deeply disappointing performance, wasn't it? I mean, what was your take, Serge?
I mean, we've just seen in the past 7 days excellent performance at West Ham. We came back from losing at 1-0. We saw a performance in Liège where we came 2-2 from losing 2-0. And today, you know, the first minute I was like, this is excellent. Then they got the goal and it all really went downhill from there. Defensively, it was weak and sort of just looked lumbering, and it showed us that we have no strength and depth. You know, when Man City could sub off, you know, Gundogan from Riyad Mahrez, they could take off Phil Foden to bring on Bernardo Silva. It shows their strength and depth was incredible. Their pressing game was incredible, and ours was just not there. It was non-existent. Yeah,
absolutely. What was the most frustrating thing of the afternoon for you then, Phil?
Basically not a shot on target. Asking 20 years ago we were the best team in the world, and now we're asking for a shot on target for an entire game. The defence was absolutely shambolic. Just thoroughly outplayed. I thought even after we went 1-0 down, as Serge just said, we came back against West Ham and during the week and thought we had a chance still, but no, we just got nothing.
Yeah, absolutely fair comment. What about you, Fred? What did you think?
Well, I mean, you know, it's disappointing, of course. You know, you always have to give credit to Man City. They're really, you know, a fantastic side. They're always going to hurt you. You know what De Bruyne is obviously going to do to you. You know, he's always like to run past the midfields and even the defence. As everyone's saying that there's no leaders. I actually do agree what Gary Neville just come up with about Mustafi, Socrates and Luiz, saying about, you know, they've been, you know, uncoachable since Emery's been working for 18 months and we still haven't, you know, rectified our mistakes, because I know the job is too far soon for Freddie, because he can't, you know, what he needs to get out of. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you guys all touched on Man City there, and I think you're absolutely right in terms of the quality they've shown. But for me, I mean, Fernandinho was centre half today, which meant he lost his influence in midfield. Otamendi, deeply unimpressive player for me. You've also got Mendy, the left back, who for me hasn't been the same player since he'd done his cruciate in. You've got Kyle Walker on the right, who's not playing at the levels we know he's capable of, basically. Rodrigo, who is actually slotted in for Fernandinho in midfield, is not Fernandinho, basically. And yet, despite all that, City coasted to a 3-0 victory. Why?
What it shows is Freddie's comment on transition. Man City could transition their team really well from defence to attack, and it doesn't matter if they weren't the best players for those positions. Their transitioning ability and their pressure was excellent. They had the nous to be able to sort of play the ball really well and pressure, and one thing they could do that was, I believe, was find pockets of space, but not because they were better at finding it, it's because we were just backing off of them every time. If you look at the first goal, the replay of the first goal, Socrates was just backing off, and it doesn't make any sense. Why are you backing off of De Bruyne, possibly one of the best players in the Premier League, the best player we've seen, you know, for a long time, and he's backing off of him? It doesn't make sense. You're giving City too much space to play with. If you give City space, they're going to play with it and they're going to play riot. I mean, Pep Guardiola was trying to get more than 3 because he wants to make up his goal difference deficit against Liverpool and Leicester. And the fact that he's doing that at the Emirates is a real shocking indictment of the defensive quality that Emirates has, you know, had over the past 10 years. I mean, the last time we had a solid defensive lineup that we could really rely upon was outside of real memory. It was just such a long time ago, and it's just so upsetting seeing, you know, their probably second-class defensive lineup just run rings around us with no real issue, no challenge, nothing. It was just let's just play the ball around Arsenal. This is not a problem. And it's like someone said when me and Dad did the comments video on the way back from Liège. One of the comments was, players can come here and smell fear, and I think I think the City players came here and they smelt fear after that first goal went in. they smelt the fear and they started pushing more and more and more. And our defenders were just looking more and more fearful, more and more out of sorts. And obviously, you know, we're not playing. We haven't got Bellerin or Tierney, so we're struggling there. We haven't got Holding back yet.
Yeah, but are we even any better with them in there? I don't think so. I think the defensive thing has been too much of a problem for too many years to say, oh, these two players are going to make it better or whatever. It's got to be something to do with the coaching or the ethos of the club, because it's just been too many years of too many mistakes. How long have we been saying Arsenal can't defend? Over a decade. Yeah. Where, I don't understand where the problem lies. I genuinely can't work it out, because you can have teams that maybe be poor defensively for a season or two. It's been 10 years under now 3 different managers, however many different coaching teams, however many different higher-ups or whatever. It's just ridiculous, and I can't understand it. And you mentioned De Bruyne there as well. I've never seen Kevin De Bruyne played live in the flesh like that, but my word, what a player he is. Yeah. But then you look at Mesut Ozil, who's probably on a similar amount of money, people would put in that world-class bracket. I'm not entirely sure why, because that's the kind of performance you want out of Mesut Ozil, someone who's going to take a team apart and do it with real vigour and energy. And I just don't understand the golfing class between the two of them, because they should both be in the same bracket, but Mesut Ozil just can't be bothered, doesn't want to be there. But I can't, as I say with Kevin De Bruyne, I honestly can't praise him enough. I mean, what a performance that was. And there isn't a lot you can do against players like that, but you've just got to be better defensively. You've got to at least try and show you want to stop him. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I've seen De Bruyne play really, really well at the Etihad as well as the Emirates base, and he's a class act. You're absolutely right. But talk about defence. I mean, what would be your solution to Arsenal's leaky defence, then, Phil?
Serge said before, it's pressurising the ball, putting pressure on the ball. That's what City did all day today, and we've got no real thirst, and our standard of defence cannot stand up to that sort of pressured scrutiny on them. Yeah. So we need. It is unfortunate that we've got some people unfit, but yeah, you're right. 10 years of even if everybody was fit, I'm sure would have still lost today. To be fair, because there doesn't seem to be any real thirst or pressure, as he says, pressure on the ball at all times, and need to sort of get it out immediately and put man-mark people like De Bruyne. Then but stop backing off. And yeah, I agree entirely.
I look at it this way in terms of sorting out the defence. We've interviewed Lee Dixon and Alan Smith recently, and literally what they'd say about George Graham was, who had the best defensive Arsenal team that has ever been, basically. I don't think anyone can argue that. It's where the 1-0 to the Arsenal came from. They told us that they literally every day they would just drill defensively for hours and hours on end. He should be there, he should be there, he should be there. Just do that. Just literally, you have the formula to get a team to defend. Just drill it over and over and over again. It's scientifically proven that repetition is the best way to understand things and have them perform better, because you just do it over. It becomes second nature. It's like you just do it automatically.
So why don't they then?
Because they don't drill it enough, clearly.
But why not though?
Well, I don't know. I'm not in there, am I?
But why do you think they don't do it? It's all right saying it, but why not?
Because everyone does this whole nonsense about, we need fast flow and attacking football, we need to be able to play on the counter-attack and keep the ball well, and it's all about possession, blah, blah, blah. You look at Leicester when they won the league, they didn't give a toss about possession. They just went out and went at teams, and it was built on a solid defence. A defence that was completely unstylish. Wes Morgan, Robert Hoof. There's not 2 centre-backs that you'd ever think would win a Premier League title. But it was just a team that didn't care about all the numbers and whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'd rather come here every week and watch Arsenal win 1-0 and defend well, only score once, whatever, than come and watch that every week.
Mate, you would have loved the 80s then.
Well, I've said this before. I was honestly, it's not good enough, and there has to be some change. Whether you get literally, if you get Lee Dixon or Martin Keown or whoever to go in and just for like 2-3 days a week and just do defensive drills with the defenders over and over and over again until their feet are bleeding. Honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. Just in terms of Ozil, we talked about Ozil there. These guys have had their say all season on Ozil. What's your take on Ozil?
I liked him to start off with. I agree completely. He doesn't seem to want to be there all the time. He might. I don't care what else you got on your mind. When you're on the pitch, you're paid to fucking
Carry on.
paid to
Right.
do a job, and you got to do it. And he hasn't turned up for us for a while, really. I know he wasn't put on by Emery for quite a while, and he was out for a bit, but he's now being played by Freddie. Play, show your worth, and he's not been doing it really.
Yeah,
I mean, that's all.
absolutely. Just in terms of Freddie then and a possible new manager, what would you do now then, Serge?
Well, I think going back to your defensive question links into the question with Freddie. I think to change the defensive ethos at Arsenal not only involves new coaching drills, but also involves sort of new team selection. You need to bring more players in. You know, we got William Saliba coming in next year, but we need to try and think of in January what people we could get in to just act as a sort of a last-ditch resort. You know, we were saying before we went for the wrong ex-Chelsea player. Yeah. So that's something we need to look into, and I think that's something that the board needs to look into when they bring in a new manager in. We need a manager who's not just all about free-flowing attacking football, but he's also about cautious football. So if you look at a team like Atletico Madrid, who have got Simeone, he cares all about the defensive lineup more than the attacking lineup. Yeah. And they've been a stalwart in what is, you know, only a three-horse league, but he's against two of the best horses in the league. Yeah. You know, when he won it a few years ago, Champions League final, it was all built upon defensive stout behaviour and one good attacker up top, and that's something we need to look into. We've got the attackers lined up, we just need to really look in January at a manager who cares about defence, because at the moment, you know, Freddie's only an interim manager, but he was obviously, you know, he was a free-flowing attacker more than a defensive player. You look at Unai Emery, he's been, you know, a bit of both really, but who's available out there that's a real good choice? I think January is going to be quite telling, but I think someone like Ten Hag would be quite nice, and someone like Ancelotti who can do defence. But it's a poison chalice at the moment. The question isn't who do we want; it's who actually wants to come here.
Yeah, very good point. What about you then, Tom?
I want to chuck a few names in. I will mention a few names. Firstly, with Freddie, I've said it in the video on me and Thursday. I don't think he's the man for the job, and I genuinely feel sorry for him, because I don't know what people expected or what he could have done. Fair play to him. He's been dignified. He's tried his best, and he's shown his love for the club. But it's not the time for him. With Arteta, as Fred mentioned, if I'd have been sat on that bench to make Arteta's out and watched that, I'd have said, do you know what? Forget that. I'm not going there. How am I gonna sort this out? I'd just stay and wait for the City job or go somewhere else. I wouldn't bother with that. Simeone is the one that I want, and I think Arsenal should and have to go all out for him, because they just need a manager who's going to drill things defensively. You look at the teams he's built, and they've been completely unglamorous, but they've reached 2 Champions League finals. They've won the La Liga title against all odds. I think they've won 2 Copa del Reys. He's won 2 Europa Leagues. Built on a side that just defends well, and they just know how to do it. They're maybe not exactly glamorous going forward, but you win games and you win trophies. That's what you want as a football fan. You don't come to a game going, I want to see some beautiful football today. You go to a game going, I want to win. The winning is the most important thing. Yes, playing it well and winning nicely and winning in a beautiful way is an added bonus, but it's all about the winning. In terms of the other few names, I know we've done a video on Poch, and yes, Tottenham connections probably make a bit of an iffy choice, but Arsenal could definitely do a lot worse than getting Poch. I mean, he's available at the moment. Whether he's waiting for a bigger job at somewhere like Bayern, for example, is up for debate. But I mean, in the situation at Arsenal, and they have to go for someone who's got experience and is a pair of hands that could potentially turn it around. Maybe a bit of a left field choice. I mean, I've mentioned Giovanni Van Bronckhorst before, a defender during his playing career, played here at Arsenal before, so we know how to defend. He knows what the club's all about. He's won trophies as a manager before. He's currently working under Pep at Man City, so he'll have learnt a lot from that. There's plenty of names out there. They've just got to find the right one, but do it quick. Yeah. And make a step. Because you look at Tottenham right now, so you don't want to talk too much about Tottenham.
No, we don't.
Of course.
Let's move on. Right. What do you reckon?
Come on. But you look at what they've done. They got rid of Poch, but they reacted quickly. They did it in 24 hours, and they got Mourinho. Yes, he's a choice we didn't want, and I still would never want him at Arsenal. But they made the move quickly, and things have turned around for them. Their form's improved. Yeah. There's just been too much dillying and dallying.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a podcast in itself there, isn't there, in terms of the managerial options available. Who would you go for, Fred?
There was another one that went through my head, which one that you lot didn't go for, a manager called Niko Kovac. Do you know him?
Niko Kovac,
I saw him as a player.
Used to be by Munich. On Monday he was at the West Ham game, to see what it's like up there in England, because he's never been up there before. Going to Everton, which is the final game before Christmas, on the scale from 1 to 10, I would say 5, because right now we can't play in a, can't play in the back four now because, well, it depends how Kolasinec's going to be out for. We might as well just, right now play, like a 3-4-1-2 formation. Saka on the left and Maitland-Niles on the right. And I still don't, think Ozil doesn't even, care about us anymore. All that he just really cares about is himself. Like, how happy he is when he's get paid, and he just doesn't, do anything, show heart and determination.
Yeah, I think you're right. Fans do want him to show a bit more sort of character, really, don't they? But just going back to the manager, I mean, who would you fancy then, Phil? Pochettino, really, even though he's a former Spurs man.
You went straight for that.
It's the only person on the market that would that I really sort of think could step into it. I'd love to have seen Freddie. I agree completely that it's a massive job to take over without any experience of that role. I'd love to have seen him I'd love to see him carry on, but yeah, I do agree that if he. Yeah, it's too much for him at the moment. Pochettino, out of what we've got on offer.
Yeah. That's interesting. Thanks very much for you guys, for all your input there, guys. I remember coming here, I'm sure you guys were a couple of years ago, February 2018. Arsenal lost 3-0, the League Cup final 3-0 to Man City on a Sunday. It was freezing cold. Arsenal played Man City on the Thursday. They lost 3-0. Freezing cold. It was about 25,000. It was one of the most depressing nights at the Emirates. 2 years later, we're still losing 3-0 at home to Man City with a very distinct lack of progress.
Worse Man City than it is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Why is that? One final question.
Because we don't make the decisions that big clubs should make.
So is that coming from the board? Is that Kroenke's fault?
Well, Kroenke's, whoever's been in charge of the managerial team, whether that be Ralston now or whoever was there before, Ivan Gazidis. I mean, it's just shambolic decision after shambolic decision over and over and over again. And Arsenal haven't made a call like big clubs should do and have done in the past few years, like with Wenger, for example, when he won that FA Cup to end the trophy drought, should have been the point when he went. That was a point of natural progression.
2014 against Hull, yeah.
It goes back so many years of just decisions that have been poor, whether it be with the manager, with player recruitment, with who's working in the team higher up, who's making the call on which players are brought in, whatever. It's just decision after decision that's been hopelessly wrong. And it's not good enough. And things are going to keep going like this if there isn't any wholesale change, basically. Yeah.
I mean, I think you're absolutely right. There is a tailspin there with Arsenal now. Just in a short answer there, Serge, if you can. What's the answer? What can we do about it?
Recruit defensively, more astute. That's all we need to be more astute on our defensive recruitment. I think, up top we're fine. I think midfield just needs to work on their transitions, but if the defence is there, the rest will come. Okay. And what about you, Phil?
Yeah, by pay in defence, but the thing is, if Fred is there, they might not loosen purse strings. A new manager straight away, they might not loosen purse strings. So it might not be in January, but we do need to spend on our defence without a doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Fred? What's your final take on today then?
Well, for tomorrow, I'm looking forward to the Europa League draw. Depends who we might face.
Very
so
good point.
Because it's in 2 months' time. Just whether it's to see if the Kroenkes can get our new manager and then sort out our defence. I kind of like the likes of Koulibaly, because he's a beast of a centre back.
Yeah.
There was actually one centre back that we were interested in the summer called Dayata Pumakama, if you've heard of him. He plays for RB Leipzig. So first of all, before if we need to sort out our defence with that, we really need the Kroenkes, Edu, Raul to get a new manager sorted, and then we can rectify sort out what's wrong with our team, basically.
Yeah, well said, Fred. That's really makes some really good points there. Koulibaly, for example. I mean, we saw him at Napoli last year.
He's immense.
Yeah,
we won't get him.
We can't afford him, I don't think. But he's a really good player.
Why would you want to turn up here?
Well, yeah. Just in terms of the Europa League draw, really good point as well. I mean, we had 2 days, a 2-day jolly up in Belgium. It was great fun. I think we're still recovering from that. But just in terms of the next round, who do we fancy? For me personally, we spent an afternoon in Bruges. Loved it. Really fancy Bruges in the next round. What about you, Dan?
You just just liked it because you can make film references. Just somewhere that's a bit fun, a bit easy to get to. Somewhere like Porto, I know that's probably what you want. Somewhere like Amsterdam, maybe with Ajax.
Trust you to want Amsterdam.
What's that supposed to mean?
We'll swiftly move on. What about you then, Serge?
Either Porto or Istanbul.
Okay, really? I'm not sure I want to watch Arsenal in Istanbul.
No thanks.
On away day in Constantinople sounds cracking.
Oh God.
What about you, Phil?
Bruges or Scotland?
Scotland, yeah, absolutely, very good point. What about you, Fred?
I actually kind of fancy Inter because, you know, I like to see, you know, Lukaku playing back in England, and also me and Dad fancy a trip to Scotland as well.
Fair play.
And also, I'm actually kind of a big fan of drawing to, like, you know, the likes of Shakhtar and Leverkusen, and even especially Wolfsburg.
Yeah, I think Wolfsburg would be a good trip as well. You're absolutely right. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Really, really interesting conversation there. Thank you so much for your time as well. I know it's a freezing night. We're all still here at Arsenal talking about the Arsenal because we love the Arsenal basically.